Hi there. My name is Jonathan Wrigley, one of the earliest teachers at Dial Park Primary School. Thanks for clicking the link for the Power of Parents presentation that we've got. We had hoped that this was going to be face-to-face in the classroom, but obviously current circumstances mean that we've had to do it over Zoom. I know some people have not been able to make the meetings, so I thought I'd post this online. I wanted to, first of all, I'll give you the key messages from today. And I suppose as a team, we've done these meetings because we wanted to emphasize the importance of talking to children, how important it is, and also reading with children. The two consistent strands, really, that all the way through children's education and beyond. They're the way that we educate and communicate with your children, really, throughout primary school and beyond. So their importance can't be emphasized enough. The other key message is really that you're the best teacher that your child, for your child. We'll come and go and have them for 1 year, but consistently, you're always there. And also with Dial Park, you're going to be under our wing as a family. And I suppose that what I feel one of our strengths is that the door's always open, really, for the communication to make sure that we work as a team, and we're definitely stronger and get the best results for your children if we work together, really. So I've got a little presentation. It's hopefully going to give you some ideas and resources to help you support your children, firstly in talking and then in reading, and I hope give you a bit of confidence to bring stories to life and give them a long-term love of reading. So I'll share my screen and start off a little PowerPoint presentation. So I've called this 5 Small Things. It's actually something I've nicked from a website from a nursery and childcare website called Pacey. They're national in the UK, and they have some great resources and some great ideas. If you get a chance to visit their website, there's tips from everything from teaching your children to give up a dummy, through to riding a bike, through to reading everything else. So I would advise you have a look at Pacey's website. There's tons of great information there. But this is 5 small things. And 5 things that can make a big difference. So that was an introduction to 5 small things. And the good news is I'm only talking about 2 of them today. But the first being talking. Both Mrs Honeychurch and myself thought straight away, it's got to start with that, really. Children learn to talk before they read, and it's very difficult to read words if you can't actually say them and don't know what they mean. I'll also be talking about reading, and that will be the main focus, with some tips and hints on that. But then also really important, so then the children can communicate to us. Drawing is their first step into that, from drawing pictures of themselves, pictures of their families, and saying that's, that's me. That leads into writing, and their understanding that they can communicate back to their teachers by making marks on paper or anywhere else. Singing really helps with the language abilities, confidence, and understanding how words and sentences are structured. And then finally, writing letters and numbers. The abstract thought, there's a bit of a penny drop moment on that when children realise that a numeral actually relates to a quantity. It's a difficult concept to get, and the sooner they get that concept with support from ourselves and yourselves, the better. Really, it sets them up for realising that they can write the numbers down, they can write the letters down, they write letters in a sequence, and it means a word. But drawing, singing, letters and numbers are videos that Pacey have done that I'm not going to talk about today. So the first one is about talk. So the first small thing is talking, and really make the most of every interaction. You set the standard and model, how to talk from the first day that your child is born, really, and build upon your children's interests, whether it's monster trucks, Formula One, aeroplanes, Peppa Pig, LOL dolls, unicorns, whatever it is. Harness your child's imagination and interests, and build their language up using those as the vehicle or the road to follow. And for yourself, try and think out loud, out and about or in home. Talk about what you see, what you're doing. Just have a constant dialogue on, so you can expose your children to as rich a variation of language as possible, as many words as possible. Check their understanding. And a really, really important one, and it gets mentioned lots of times in the news or whatever about families who sit down for a meal, but I think the key bit from it actually at an early age is that children learn how to have a conversation at meal times. At meal times we sit around the table so everyone can make eye contact with each other. That helps you look at the way people's mouths are moving. It helps you also understand when people have stopped talking and it might be your turn to talk. It's a time when we've probably turned off phones and tablets, and it allows children to get a glimpse into an adult world, how adults have conversation. And I can't emphasize how important it is. If you can't do it every night, then can you try and find time for as many nights of the week that you can, where you sit around the table as a family. And the key message, language development is an essential skill for other areas of development. Virtually everything that we do leads on from our ability to talk or communicate with each other. So at the moment, you may not be reading books with your children where the children are reading the text. If you are, fabulous. But a lot of your reading experiences might be you reading for your children. And this lady's got some hints and tips about how to bring stories to life.
5 storytelling tips that I always share with practitioners. The first, of course, is to make eye contact with children and also to have fun and smile. And the second is about gesture, using your hands. He went round and round and round, or he went up and up and up. You can use your hands and you can use your whole body. And it's very, very effective for children. My third tip is about the use of 3 words repeated. For example, he sang, and he sang, and he sang. Or drip, drip, drip. By the time children have heard you use this several times, they actually start to understand that you're going to repeat the words. So often by the 3rd word, they're joining in. The next tip is similar, but it's about the use of a repeated sentence. And there are famous books, actually, which use this feature. Is he under here? No. Is he under here? No. And again, children quickly cotton on and then they start to join in. And my final tip is to understand that children do like to hear the difference between the narrator's voice and the character's voice. Teddy went for a long walk, but then bumped into Mrs. Johnson. Hello, Teddy. And children love hearing these characters. So if you can get all of those into your stories, I'm sure you and the children will have great fun.
So I hope a lot of that makes sense. And if you've read books by people like Julia Donaldson or Alan Alberg or Michael Rosen, I hope you'll notice the times when they repeat, and use rhyme and repeat sentences and words to help engage the children and help the children to know what's coming next. So 5 tips when reading to children: get the children's eye contact, try and captivate them, and it draws them into the story and helps them understand what you're saying or pay attention to what you're saying. Use gesture and be animated, bring the story to life. And repeat words. They need to hear words more than once for them to be able to understand what it means. And repeated sentences. And use different voices. And I think that's one thing that I learned early on as a teaching assistant some time ago in Dial Park. I remember I was reading to a Year 2 class, and it might have been one of my first afternoons in the class. And I think I was reading Roald Dahl, one of the Roald Dahl books, and a little boy called Oliver actually stopped me, put his hand up and said, "Can you do the voices?" And I was quite nervous. I didn't want to open up my shell a little bit. And from that moment on, I did do the voices. He said, "Can you do the voices?" Mr. Hayward always does the voices. So I had a tough act to follow there. And that really opened up, and I saw the difference that it made to the children to bring the story to life. It wasn't just something that they had to put up and listen to. It's something that they could be more absorbed in than from doing the voices. So I'd encourage you, open up and do the voices. So I did hand out a pack to the parents in the class with some sheets on it. This first one, help your children with reading. And I'd look at the fun side of it. There's try and go out and use your reading to inspire drawings or news stories. Try and do the voices. You might want to find a funny place to read. It might be if you're reading a story about cars or monster trucks, go and sit in the car. Go and sit in the back in the garden or somewhere unusual to kind of make reading a bit more than just turning the pages in a book. And for yourselves, you need to be seen reading. If you can, pick up a book, pick up the newspapers, pick up magazine articles, even the cereal packets. Breakfast, a great time for talking, a great time for reading, and read everything out loud. Vocalize your thoughts, help your children understand your thoughts. Story sacks are a way that you can bring books to life at home. There's actually, I need to move my dialogue box. You can see that the National Literacy Trust make these sheets available to everyone. They're advice on how to get a story set together, and the sheets that I gave out here and I'll have available from the classroom Just give you an idea of what to put in story stacks. The one that I had with 3 little pigs, and we're going on a bear hunt. But in here I've got the book Whatever Next, which is fairly easy story stack to put together. And then if you really fancy it, there's the all singing, all dancing rainbow fish story stack with sequins and a DVD and a game, all the creatures. There's a non-fiction book. And story stacks can, in the first instance, be something that you show your children how to use the resources that are in the story stack. But then with time, actually, their own imagination takes over. And they'll start to use the story stacks and create their own little stories from it, and explore the story even more. And that's when they've really got they're understanding the story inside out, when they can start to take it in their own direction. I did also put in a handout about the reading skills that we'd expect children to develop during their early years, or that we try and help them develop during the early years. The pink level is for entry readers, and we get quite a lot of questions from parents when the first books that we give them don't have any when the first books that we give children don't have any words in them. And the reason why we give children books with no words is really to encourage talking. Reading follows talking. And also these 4 skills here, that a book with no words will still teach a child how to hold a book correctly and to turn the page 1 page at a time. They'll be able to find the front cover, the back cover, and the title. And they'll be able to look at the pictures and say what they think might happen in the story. And that's part of the key to it. It's talk about the pictures, what else could happen, what would happen if, and really explore all the pictures. And also, with time, you can be able to talk about the different books. There's Oxford Reading Tree books with Biff, Chip and Kipper, or if there are Peppa Pig books, or there's a particular character that you like, you can talk about the other books and what would have happened in them. We could even try putting new characters, mixing books up and putting a Peppa Pig, or putting characters from unfamiliar stories together, and talk to your children in any ways. But I put this one because the first books that you get from us may well have no words in them. And that's really to teach the children these skills here. So this little video summarizes, I think, what I've mentioned in the previous slides. So with our tips for reading, top of the list, have fun, keep your experiences reading with your children. I would say through primary school and onwards, try and make it a fun experience. It's challenging, particularly at the early days when you've got every single word called, recognizing every single letter and every single word is a challenge. Try and keep reading fun. Let your child choose books, and fingers crossed you'll get a book that your children love, whether it's Meg and Mog, Peppa Pig, Thomas the Tank Engine. And if you get a run where they find the characters that they're absorbed in, milk it for all that you can, really, so that you develop a love of books, and they get exposed to more and more rich language. use voices, gesture and story sacks, bring the books to life. And lots of talk about the pictures and what you think might happen next. If your children find it difficult to answer the questions, then just think out loud yourself and tell them, pose a question for yourself. I wonder what might happen. Oh, I think this might happen. And, talk them through what you're thinking. One thing that worked for my daughter through lockdown, actually, she was a bit of a reluctant reader at first. But I used my mum. My mum was absolutely brilliant reading with her over FaceTime. It kept my mum busy as well through lockdown. She loved it, and my daughter responded to it really well. And that actually went on to my mum doing some homework with her as well. We could help her coach her through spellings and other things. So get different voices so that it's not just one parent or the parents reading to children. Get other family members roped in on it as well. Pick unusual places to read, help overcome reluctance, make it a bit different. So there were 5 small things that Pacey recommended. I've looked at talking and reading today, but there were videos about drawing, singing, and letters and numbers. But really, Pacey's website, like I said, was excellent from giving you the top tips of how to teach your child to ride a bike, giving up dummies or whatever. They're a great start if you've got anything that you want help with. So thanks for watching and thanks for listening. If you've got any more questions or any top tips that you could share with us, please get in touch with the school. And also, if you did want to get the resources that I've referred to here, I'll have these available from the school office. And really also, this is just the start of reading with your children and the start of communicating with your class teacher, really. Class teacher may only be with your child for 1 year, but I know at Dial Park, we've always got our doors open. We're proud of the relationships that we build and the umbrella of care that we place over the child and the family, really. Just keep a dialogue going because we both want to support your children to read and make it as pleasurable as an experience as possible. So thanks, and I hope I'll see you around the school sometime.